Hey everyone, Mr. O here. Here I am in my living room. I miss you all very much, and I figured we need to start a new book. So I have for us here The Phantom Tollbooth by Norton Juster, illustrated by Jules Pfeiffer. I think you're going to like this one. Let's get started. Chapter 1, Milo. There was once a boy named Milo who didn't know what to do with himself. Not just sometimes, but always. When he was in school, he longed to be out, and when he was out, he longed to be in. On the way, he thought about coming home, and coming home, he thought about going. Wherever he was, he wished he were somewhere else, and whenever he got there, he wondered why he'd bothered. Nothing really interested Milo, least of all, the things that should have. It seems to me that almost everything is a waste of time, he remarked one day as he walked dejectedly home from school. I can't see the point in learning to solve useless problems, or subtracting turnips from turnips, or knowing where Ethiopia is, or how to spell February. And since no one bothered to explain otherwise, he regarded the process of seeking knowledge as the greatest waste of time. As he and his unhappy thoughts hurried along, it seemed a great wonder that the world, which was so large, could sometimes feel so small and empty. And worst of all, he continued sadly, there's nothing for me to do. Nowhere I'd care to go, and hardly anything worth seeing. He punctuated this last thought with such a deep sigh that a house sparrow singing nearby stopped and rushed home to be with his family. Without stopping or looking up, Milo dashed past the buildings and busy shops that lined the street, and in a few minutes reached home, dashed through the lobby, hopped onto the elevator, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and off again. Opened the apartment door, rushed into his room, flopped dejectedly into a chair, and grumbled softly, "Another long afternoon." He looked glumly at all the things he owned, the books that were too much trouble to read, the tools he'd never learned to use, the small electric automobile he hadn't driven in months, or was it years, and the hundreds of other games and toys, and bats and balls, and bits and pieces scattered around him. And then, to one side of the room, just next to the record player, he noticed something he had certainly never seen before. Who could possibly have left such an enormous package? And such a strange one. For while it was not quite square, it was definitely not round, and for its size, it was larger than almost any other big package of smaller dimension that he'd ever seen. Attached to one side was a bright blue envelope which said simply, "For Milo, who has plenty of time." Of course, if you've ever gotten a surprise package, you can imagine how puzzled and excited Milo was. And if you've never gotten one, pay close attention, because someday you might. "I don't think it's my birthday," he puzzled. "And Christmas must still be months away, and I haven't been outstandingly good, or even good at all." He had to admit this even to himself. "Most probably, I won't like it anyway, but since I don't know where it came from, I can't send it back." He thought about it for quite a while, and then he opened the package, but just to be polite. "One genuine turnpike toll booth," it stated, and then it went on. "Easily assembled at home, and for use by those who have never traveled in lands beyond." Beyond what? Thought Milo as he continued to read. This package contains the following items. 1 genuine turnpike toll booth to be erected according to directions. 3 precautionary signs to be used in a precautionary fashion. Assorted coins for use in paying tolls. 1 map, up to date and carefully drawn by master cartographers, depicting natural and man-made features. 1 book of rules and traffic regulations, which may not be bent or broken. And in smaller letters at the bottom, it concluded, results are not guaranteed, but if not perfectly satisfied, your wasted time will be refunded. Following the instructions, which told him to cut here, lift there, and fold back all around, he soon had the toll booth unpacked and set up on its stand. He fitted the windows in place, attached the roof, which extended out on both sides, and fastened on the coin box. It was very much like the toll booths he'd seen many times on family trips, except of course it was much smaller and purple. What a strange present, he thought to himself. The least they could have done was to send a highway with it, for it's terribly impractical without one. But since, at the time, there was nothing else he wanted to play with, he set up the 3 road signs. Slow down, approaching toll booth. Please have your fare ready. Have your destination in mind. And he slowly unfolded the map. As the announcement stated, it was a beautiful map, in many colors, showing principal roads, rivers and seas, towns and cities, mountains and valleys, intersections and detours, and sites of outstanding interest, both beautiful and historic. The only trouble was that Milo had never heard of any of the places it indicated, and even the names sounded most peculiar. I don't think there really is such a country, he concluded after studying the map carefully. Well, it doesn't matter anyway. He closed his eyes and poked a finger at the map. Dictionopolis. Dictionopolis, Milo read slowly when he saw what his finger had chosen. Oh well, might as well go there as anywhere. He walked across the room and dusted the car off carefully. Then, taking the map and rulebook with him, he hopped in and, for lack of anything better to do, drove slowly up to the toll booth. As he deposited his coin and rolled past, he remarked wistfully, I do hope this is an interesting game. Otherwise, the afternoon will be so terribly dull. Hey, y'all. I forgot the most important part. So we just read chapter 1, and there's a couple activities that we can do related to it. And the first one has to do with that map that came with the toll booth. Now, it's spectacular. And I could hold a picture of it up to the camera here, but it's not going to do it justice. It's so detailed, it's beautiful. So I scanned a copy of it, and I am going to email it to your parents so that you can print it and color it if you would like. But either way, if you print it, you can keep it next to you the next time we read from the Phantom Tollbooth, and you'll be able to see exactly where Milo is going on his adventure, and I think that'll be really neat. Number 2. Have you ever felt like Milo? Bored, unsure what to do, feel like everything is just a waste of time? I have, and it stinks. I don't like that feeling, and I'm sure you don't either. But when you're in that boredom, a lot of times it's hard to come up with what I could do to get out of it. So now, while you're not bored, I have a challenge for you. The challenge is, come up with your top 5 Boredom Busters, so that the next time you're bored, you can just scan through your list and choose one, boredom gone. I made a list, here it is. Mr. O's top 5 Boredom Busters. Number 1, and an obvious one, ride my bike. Rain or shine, if I ride my bike, I'm always in a good mood. I prefer when it shines, but I'll even ride for a little bit if it's rainy. Number 2, I like to write letters. I write letters to my grandmother. I write letters to both of my sisters. My brother, he doesn't really get letters because I don't think he appreciates them as much. But those other 3 individuals, I love writing letters to, especially right now because we can't see them. Maybe you could write a letter to one of your friends. Number 3, make a snack. Usually when I'm bored, it's because I'm low on energy. A nutritious snack, such as a piece of fruit, a lot of times gives me that jolt of energy I need. Number 4, read my favorite book. There are some books I've read so many times that I can just pick it up. No matter what page I open to, I can just start reading, and I know the characters, I know the setting, I know where they are in the problem or how they're solving the problem. And if I'm ever bored, I can just jump back into that book, and because it's so comfortable and I know it, it helps me to kind of forget about feeling like everything's a waste of time. Number 5, make a fort. Sticks or pillows. Depends what the weather is. I like building forts outside, especially, but sometimes if it's not nice outside, I'll build a fort inside. Pillows, sheets, make a nice little blanket fort, and then, I don't know, maybe I'll take that favorite book of mine and just curl up in there and go on a journey. All right, I want to know what your top 5 boredom busters are. Go ahead, make your list. It can be longer than this. Maybe start with a rough draft and scribble out the ones that you don't like or edit it. And then once you're really happy with it, it's perfected, share it with me. But more importantly, share it with your parents. Maybe they'll find a place for you to put it in your house so that the next time you are feeling bored, they can say, hey, have you tried number 1? Have you tried number 4? I don't know, number 3 is looking pretty good right about now. Give it a try. Tomorrow, chapter 2. Are you ready? Are you ready?